So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today I'm gonna guide you through all the mastery rank tests going from 11 to 15. Now, even though you will do these quite far into the game, they are surprisingly simple even when compared to the previous 5 tests. And the best thing you can do to prepare for these is to go to a relay, go to the fast travel option, fast travel to Cephal and Cimaris, and there you will have all the mastery rank tests lined up against the wall on the right, so you can practice the mastery tests before you do them for real. Now, I would of course recommend this for every single mastery test because it's just really nice to know what you're going up against, but it's especially true for these 5 tests because if you do like 1 or 2 practice runs, you shouldn't have any issue finishing them. So the Mastery Rank 11 test tests both your parkour and aiming skills because you have to get through a fairly complex parkour course before the timer runs out, and you have to shoot targets which will give you bonus time. Now, as I've said in the beginning, you will do these tests quite far into the game, so you should be fairly familiar with the parkour mechanic and you shouldn't have any trouble finishing this test. The targets are red, they're very easy to see, and each one of them gives you 3.5 seconds, which is more than enough to reach the next target. Also, the course is fairly linear and you'll be guided with a set of white arrows towards the end, so you can't even get lost here. This test is just really easy. You only have to shoot about half the targets to make it to the end in time, and even if you fall off the course, it will just plop you straight back on again.
A formidable performance. This test is now complete.
The Mastery Rank 12 test tests your ability to aim while avoiding hazards. It takes place on a small platform with a pillar in the middle and 4 sets of rotating lasers. 2 of them are a vertical wall of lasers, one of which has a gap on the side and the other one has a gap in the middle. And then there are 2 sets of horizontal lasers, one of which you can jump over and the other one you can either jump over or crouch under. Now there are multiple ways you can do this. You can either take a tanky frame and just face tank the lasers, you can stand still and just jump and duck under them, you can run against them for extra bit of challenge, or you can run with them to completely remove the challenge. This is probably the easiest way of doing this because all 4 sets of the lasers are moving clockwise. The Mastery Rank 13 test is very similar to the Mastery Rank 10 test, where you have a set amount of platforms that will disappear after a couple of seconds once you step on them, and you have to kill 16 enemies before you run out of platforms. What makes this test a little bit harder than the Mastery Rank 10 test is that you will have to use a little bit of parkour to get on each platform. There is a tower of 3 platforms in the middle and the rest of them are pretty far away from each other and they are at different heights, and if you fall off the platforms and you fall off the world, you will lose one of your 3 attempts. So on top of having to think about the timer of each platform once you step on it, you also have to think about how you're gonna get to the next platform without falling off. But there is a way to make this easier. You can either use Titania and completely cheese this because she can fly with her 4th ability, so you don't even have to step on the platforms, or you can use Zephyr, which is significantly lighter than the other Warframe, so she can stay in the air for much longer.
A formidable performance. This test is now complete.
The Mastery Rank 14 test makes me question the order of these tests because this is one of the, if not the easiest tests that you had to do thus far. It's basically just exterminate. It's 3 waves of enemies. The first one has 10 Grenier units, the second one has 18 infested units, and the third one has 15 Corpus units. And all you have to do here is just kill the enemies. There is no timer, no weapon restrictions, no parkour, nothing. Just kill the enemies and don't die, which is very easy, especially since the enemies are around level 16. This would have been a mighty fine test for like Mastery Rank 3, maybe 4, but 14? You have to play the game quite a bit to get to Mastery Rank 14, and I don't think you would have made it to Mastery Rank 14 if you can't do this. So yeah, as long as you don't get hit by a lightning strike while you're in the middle of this test, you should be fine. It doesn't even spawn the toughest units of each faction, so for example Wave 3 doesn't spawn Corpus Tex, which would have been a bit of a challenge, at least, a little bit, because their Supra can do a lot of damage if you go full potato and you face tank them. And finally, we have the Mastery Rank 15 test, which is a solo interception with 3 points. And this basically just tests whether or not you're aware of your surroundings. It will continuously spawn waves of Grenier units that will try and take over your points, and you just have to hold them for longer and get to 100% before they do. Now you can do this with virtually any setup, but a Warframe like Ember would be fantastic here, because if you build her for World on Fire, you can take out a lot of the Grenier by just standing around. And it's also nice to bring a weapon that's accurate at long ranges, so you can stand on one point and still kill enemies on the other points. Something like Vauban would work really well too, because you can either throw Bastille on the point so the enemies can't get onto them, or you can just throw a couple of electric grenades there which will kill the enemies before they can turn it over. And one last tip for this mastery test: you can see if the enemies are taking over one of your points if you look at the indicator that's next to the minimap, because if the enemies are taking over one of your points, the indicator will start fading in and out. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope the video helped you at least a little bit, because this was more of a walkthrough than a guide, because there wasn't really much to guide you through. These tests were fairly straightforward and also kind of easy, and I actually thought about skipping these 5 tests and going straight to 15 to 20, but it felt a little bit weird to have a video on 1 to 5, then 6 to 10, and then suddenly skip 5 tests and go from 15 to 20. But anyway, that's enough blabbering for today, so I will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
A formidable performance. This test is now complete.